The Texans are now 2-2 this season after easily beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Dallas Cowboys were looking to get back on track at home against the Patriots. For a preview of what's on Instant Replay tonight, here's our Larry Ramirez.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Texans look good today, and the Cowboys defense certainly looked good today. So the Dallas Cowboys were home hosting the New England Patriots, and they were facing a friend and former teammate coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
And now it looks like, guess what, there he is. Did not play at all on the first drive, and now on the field for the first time here as an ex-Cowboy.
That friend and former teammate is running back Ezekiel Elliott, who picked up 9 yards on his very first carry against his former squad. The Cowboys hammered the Pats thanks in large part to their defense that dominated like it did back in weeks 1 and 2.
To address the fans here in Houston. H-Town, are you ready?
Texans great J.J. Watt fired up the home crowd at NRG Stadium before the game, and apparently it also fired up the current Texans squad, who laid the smackdown on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Watt was inducted into the Texans Ring of Honor, so it was a win-win in H-Town.
As they flip the field. Now, let's tell you what a punt is. Why would a team give the football away on purpose? So 2 fouls against the Jaguars, and there goes Slinky Dog. Wow, that's impressive agility. You see the Skycam being operated today by an alien, operated by the Claw as well.
At least we know he'll have all eyes on the camera.
The NFL London broadcast between Jacksonville and Atlanta featured an alternate Toy Story themed version and called it Toy Story Fun Day Football, exclusive to Disney Plus. It's the first of its kind for an NFL game. Plus, we have the best of big game coverage from Week 6, a brand new 12's Top 12. Mario Barrios is coming back home with a new title belt. And is Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud the favorite to win the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award? That's our poll coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
The Claw.
The Claw,
Yeah,
look at it.
I woke up early to watch that. I could not stand it. I had to turn it off. But it was cool. Thanks.
I thought it was cool.
It was interesting. He was arrested with loaded weapons and 160 rounds of ammunition. Universal City Police say he threatened to kill people inside their home and police officers. KSAT investigates why the Bexar County DA's office recommended low bonds for that suspect when we continue on the Nightbeat.
A man armed with loaded guns is arrested by Universal City Police after investigators said he threatened to kill people inside a home and was, quote, ready for war with officers. Hours later, the Bexar County District Attorney's Office recommended low bonds for the suspect. Here's KSAT Investigates Dylan Collier.
That date in question, it sticks in my mind, and it still has. It's very worrisome.
Universal City Police Corporal David Fawcett says any threat against officers is serious, but the risk is sky high when the suspect actually has loaded weapons. The night of August 28th, UCPD made the decision to have family members evacuate a home after a 911 caller said 25-year-old Jordan James was armed, had threatened to come to the residence to kill everyone inside and then get in a shootout with law enforcement, a domestic dispute that had escalated to a threat to the general public.
Universal City Police were able to get James away from residential areas and made a felony traffic stop in a strip mall that was closed for the night, about the safest place possible to engage him.
Get out of the door!
I'm with you.
Face the way!
After a few tense moments,
Don't look back!
James was arrested. Within arm's reach in his car was a loaded shotgun, a loaded semi-automatic rifle, and a loaded 9mm handgun. Police also recovered 160 rounds of ammunition from the vehicle. James, who had no previous criminal record in Bexar County, was booked on charges of unlawful carry of a weapon, terroristic threat to a family member, and terroristic threat causing fear to the public.
He was certainly ready, he was motivated, and he had the means. We're fortunate that he listened to the police commands and stood down.
The following afternoon, while James was being formally booked into jail, footage obtained by KSAT Investigates shows Bexar County Assistant District Attorney Michael Acevedo make the following recommendations on bond.
$5,000 each for the terroristic threat family and the UCW, and $30,000 for the terroristic threat public here.
$40,000 in all, a total that was apparently not suitable to Magistrate Judge Rolando Ramos, who quickly tripled the DA's recommendation.
Okay.
This is what we're going to do, Mr. Jordan. Given the gravity of what I read in the report, I'm setting the terroristic threats of a family member at 10,000, the unlawfully carrying a weapon at 10,000, the terroristic threat, public fear at 100,000.
The bond recommendation from the DA's office came days after 3 San Antonio police officers were shot while trying to arrest convicted felon Jesse Garcia, a rampage that began a violent stretch for area law enforcement, as 5 San Antonio police officers were shot in a 12-day period, and a 6th officer accidentally shot himself while pursuing an armed suspect. KSAT attempted to sit down with Acevedo. We're told instead that District Attorney Joe Gonzalez was the most suitable candidate for the interview, but he was unavailable the rest of the week. After a follow-up email, we were told by a spokeswoman, quote, should there be an opportunity for an interview slot, I will be in touch.
As a law enforcement official and having been one for 21 years now almost, I don't know another officer that supports that type of low bond on violent offenders or even if it's a first-time offender, but such an egregious act.
Get down now! For KSAT Investigates, I'm Dylan Collier.
James was released from jail on bond August 30th. A no-contact order remains in place. And earlier this month, his request to modify bond to allow him to go to work was denied. James' attorney told KSAT his client had an emotional outburst and was not a true threat to anyone that night.
News around America now. Former President Donald Trump is expected to attend the opening of his civil fraud trial in New York tomorrow. Trump and his eldest sons are accused of inflating the former president's net worth by more than $2 billion by overvaluing the Trump real estate portfolio. Trump originally had tried to delay the case, but that request was denied. This comes about a year after the original case was brought up by the New York State Attorney General Letitia James. ABC News reports despite showing up to the Lower Manhattan courthouse tomorrow, Trump will not have a speaking role, just observing.
A 16-year-old boy was killed and 5 other people were hurt in an overnight mass shooting in Nebraska. Omaha police say 16-year-old Lamarte Swift was shot at what they're describing as an after-hours gathering early this morning. The names, ages, and conditions of those other 5 victims have not yet been released. Omaha police say several witnesses at the scene gave them suspect information.
Federal judge blocking 2 provisions of North Carolina's new abortion law from taking effect. The new law created a near total abortion ban after 12 weeks and provides exceptions for rape or incest and if the mother's life is in danger. However, the judge blocked one part of the law that required surgical abortions performed after 12 weeks to exclusively happen in hospitals instead of abortion clinics. The judge blocked another provision that requires doctors to document pregnancies with ultrasound before prescribing abortion medication.
A former federal prosecutor is in trouble with the law in Florida. Patrick Scruggs is accused of stabbing a driver in a road rage incident in Tampa last week. The Florida Highway Patrol says Scruggs was involved in a 3-car wreck and stabbed a driver several times with a knife after the pileup. He's facing a number of charges, including aggravated assault.
It's a big change that will affect nearly 30 million Americans. Federal student loan payments resumed today after being put on hold for 3 years due to the pandemic. ABC's Elizabeth Scholze reports on the return of those payments from Washington.
The bills are due for millions of Americans with federal student loan debt. Borrowers like 33-year-old social worker Michael Lopez in Anaheim, California, are now bracing to make payments on their loans for the first time in more than 3 years.
I really want stability for us.
Lopez
clearly having some problems with that story. Here's me.
Yes, let's go outside with live cam yet again. Again, temperatures right now in the low 80s still for us here in San Antonio. It was a hotter than average afternoon. In fact, we got up to 94 degrees. That is 7 degrees above the average high for this time of year at about 87. We were only 3 degrees shy of the record of 97 that was set back in the 1890s. Also also was a warmer than average start to the day with a low temperature of 75. 97 in Gonzales out east earlier this afternoon, 95 in Cotulla, 97 in Del Rio. Check out portions of the hill country in southern Edwards Plateau, though. It was 86 in Kerrville and 84 in Rock Springs, thanks to a little bit more rain that they saw hang on into the early afternoon hours. Still going to hold on to that hotter than average trend over the next 72 hours. 93 the forecast high tomorrow, 91 by Tuesday, and then close to 90 to 91 on Wednesday as well, with just isolated chances for rain. And then we see that front move in. Yes, a better storm chance on Thursday, and those temperatures will start to come down as well. Now, this will follow what was a very hot September. We're going to get you a look at the record that September actually broke and why it's important, coming up in just a few.
All right, thanks, Mia. Improving police protection is at the top of the city's to-do list. What kind of new tech they're trying to use to do that? Next on the Nightbeat.
A budget line item for bulletproof protection. San Antonio's new city budget took effect this weekend. The Night Team's Avery Everett breaks down how the budget is building more protection for SAPD officers.
Layered up and covered in coating. Michael Wange says this glass is built for protection.
You could shoot that panel 10, 15 times, it's not going through.
It's covered in a bulletproof film, and it's technology that's showing up more and more across San Antonio.
And there's a fear, people want to feel safe.
A1 is working to install this bulletproof film onto these panels for SAPD at its St. Mary's location. But to get this film onto vehicles isn't so easy, and that's because of the shape.
You're somewhat limited on a car as to the thickness of film that you can apply.
The San Antonio city budget that's set to take effect this weekend will add the funding for more similar glass protection to SAPD vehicles. This year, the city will spend more than $200,000 to replace the windshields and side glass on 30 SWAT and street crime cars. And in the years to come, $1.5 million will be invested in bulletproof glass for patrol vehicles.
It's effective, obviously, but it's also very expensive.
This comes after a month that saw the shootings of several San Antonio police officers.
We want our officers safe, absolutely.
Gun safety advocates say this is a step, but not a solution.
What is going to sustain them in the long run instead of a quick solution?
Wanke says this is a start that can buy more time.
The thicker the film, the more time you buy from somebody getting inside.
And that could be the difference between life and death. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
All right, October, nice to meet you. Please sit in the corner, don't cause any trouble. We've had a lot of problems this year, and we don't need any from you.
No, we don't. We'd like you to just stay calm, maybe cool down.
Yes.
Play nice, right?
Yes.
Play nice, especially be kind to others. I love that. Yes, because we know that it was an incredibly hot summer, right? We had the hottest summer on record here in San Antonio. August was the hottest month that we have ever recorded, with those records dating back to the mid-1880s. Now let's talk about September. Since all of the numbers are in, they have been tallied up. September is just going to continue with that record-breaking trend. The hottest September we have ever recorded has been seen here in 2023 with an average temperature of 87 degrees on the dot. And what the average temperature is takes into account all of the morning lows that we saw, all of the afternoon highs, and it averages those numbers out over the 30-day period. So we have now surpassed 2019 by somewhat of a large margin. That was 85.8 for the average temperature. So we were well above that. And when we take a look at each day, the red that you're seeing there each day essentially means that the average temperature was hotter than what we do deem to be the climatological average. In fact, the lowest high that we saw throughout the entire month was 93 degrees. Again, today was 94, so it is still hotter than average, and we are tacking on to the number of consecutive 90-degree plus days that we have seen. Now at 116 and counting, by the way. This is the longest stretch of consecutive 90-degree days that we also have ever seen. So thankfully, we do have some relief just around the corner, especially by the end of the upcoming work week and into next weekend. Once again, though, here's your Monday, 74 degrees degrees by 7 a.m., 93 by 5 o'clock. So we are going to warm up into the 90s yet again, 86 by 8, and that 20 to 30% potential for a few isolated showers and storms. 40% potential by Wednesday. Still not for everybody there. And then as we head into your Thursday, that's when we bump up that chance to a 60% potential with that front working its way into south central Texas. So here's your futurecast for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty similar to what we saw out there earlier today. By 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, a few isolated downpours possible, especially south and west of San Antonio. That's also where we have some of that deeper Gulf moisture in place too. That's going to continue in some way, shape, or form throughout the remainder of the morning, even into the afternoon. And then like today, after the sun goes down, we lose that daytime heat. Whatever is left out there on the radar does look to fizzle out, and we're going to copy and paste that into your Tuesday. Another 30% potential there too. So just keep the umbrella in the car just in case, even though not everybody is going to need to use it. Into Wednesday night, that's when we start to see that cool front move into northern Texas. Scattered rain and thunderstorms expected to get up and running, and then that starts to move into our neck of the woods by early Thursday morning. That's the current time frame that we're looking at right now, and that will continue to work its way farther south. Rain chances gradually dropping off from north to south throughout the day by Thursday evening and especially into Thursday night. Speaking of rainfall, here's some stats for you when it comes to the rainfall department. Since September 1st, under half of an inch, 0.43. That's all we were able to officially record here in San Antonio. It's about 3.5 inches below where we should have ended the month of September. Since January 1st, just over 14 inches, but we're about 10 inches below where we should be there too. So hopefully we will be able to see some significant totals tacked onto that by the time Thursday is all said and done. And we are all looking forward to those cooler temperatures as well. Still low 90s all the way through midweek. And then we will start to see those thermometers fall into the low to mid 80s. Welcome changes, and with that lower humidity too, it's worth noting those morning lows looking pretty good as well, mid to upper 60s. So it's not quite winter coat or scarf weather just yet, but we are turning the page in the right direction, guys.
I'm just glad Mia finally had something nice to tell us for once.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
You're welcome.
She spent all summer telling us bad things, and happy she had some good news.
It's fall, y'all.
Yeah.
The weekend box office battle between a notorious killer and some animated puppies. Find out who came out on top up next in the Nightbeat.
A deadly house fire, 5 lives lost.
I love all of them so much. That day didn't feel real.
2 sisters struggling with an unimaginable tragedy.
I remember the day every single one of them was born.
For their mother, family was everything.
She did everything for us.
So I guess if we go back to Sylvia, how would you describe her?
Yeah, she's just a really cool person, and
Hear their loving memories and how they are helping them move forward by streaming the full story now.
home was there.
Unfortunately, the movie package isn't working, so I can tell you that The Blind opened up in 5th place. No idea what that's about. Saw 10 opened up in 2nd place. And Paw Patrol wins the weekend. So the puppies win.
Another bark?
Rough.
There you go.
The Dallas Cowboys did not have a rough day. They took care of business by beating the New England Patriots, ruining Zeke's return to Arlington.
And another week of big game coverage is in the books, which means a brand new edition of the BGC for a preview. What's next on Instant Replay? Here's Larry.
You did not pre-read that script, did you?
No. We're just making stuff up out here, Larry.
We are more than half the way through the high school football regular season, which means a lot of games are key as teams chase district titles and playoff seeding. Tonight in the best of big game coverage, we have the best fans, the best pass, the best run, and the best play. Plus, we have a brand new 12's Top 12 in Class 6A, 5A, and Sub 5A. And our former #1 team is back in after dropping out.
This is going to be a jab. Yeah. We talked about him needing to use the jab and taking some risks. Just a perfectly timed jab that served like a counterpunch.
Mario Barrios said he would bring a title back to San Antonio, and he did just that for punishing Yordenis Ugas for 12 rounds last night in Las Vegas as part of the Canelo Charlo undercard. You'll hear from the champion Barrios coming up later. Both the Cowboys and Texans won big today. The American League West is settled on the last day of the regular season, and SAFC fought back for a draw. That and more tonight on Instant Replay.
That's the name of the show, Instant Replay.
Yes.
It's
You
been
know
on
that.
for a while.
Instant Replay.
Okay, just making sure.
No,
I just hope
know.
all of your stories play. Ours haven't worked tonight, so
Fingers
hopefully
crossed.
the gremlins are
Fingers
gone by
crossed.
then.
We'll be all good by then.
Thanks, Larry.
We'll be right back.
Something will happen after this.